to vibrate at a certain level.
Absolutely.
None of this matters.
What you believe is what will work.
The number that you actually chose.
Kobe Bryant.
Open that piece of paper.
Oh, shit!
To me, that's magic.
Here, Real with Omar, no headphones episode. Today, my special guest is somebody that impressed me so much. And if you were at my New Year's party, that was epic, you'll recognize him. Devonte, the Mentalist. Devonte, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
No, absolutely, man. So, what number am I thinking of? 1 to 10? No, I'm
7.
kidding. How many times do you get that? How many, they know what you do, and people don't even they don't even ask you anything. They're like, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that?
I'm used to it. And it's the proper thing to do, right? I mean, if you're going to meet a mentalist, chances are you're not going to meet another one soon. So you should immediately ask them to show you what they do, which is mind reading.
Right.
So I don't think anybody does meet me without at some point, or not even at some point, pretty quickly saying, real quick, can you read my mind?
Yeah.
Because even the statement, I'm a mentalist, I'm a mind reader, immediately is they're left with a question. Do I believe that this guy is what he just told me?
Right.
Prove it.
Right.
So it's almost like interweaved into my introduction with almost everyone.
Right.
You're a mentalist? Show me.
Show me.
Not hi.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Would you like some? No, real quick. What am I thinking about?
What color?
Yeah.
What color? Yeah. Question for you. Being a mentalist, did you have a role model? Like, how'd that happen? Like, that's a pretty dope, you look, for anybody, I'm just talking to the crowd right now. For anybody who hasn't ever booked him, I've booked him personally. Amazing. So it always leaves you thinking later, right? You're like, oh man, how do you know that shit? So tell me, how'd you actually get into that game?
Yeah, so mentalism, at least the way that I think most people end up with it is through traditional magic, traditional stage illusion magic, card tricks, sleight of hand. And the reason why is because magic is also very coveted, very secretive, right? It's a little bit more out there nowadays. You have YouTube, but through that route, you go and you get deeper down that route, and you go deeper down that route, and then you get put onto certain things, and maybe you get lucky, and you meet good mentors, people that have been in the game, and the people that really covered a lot of these techniques and secrets, specifically in the mentalism space. Right. And so through magic, I would find mentalism, and so I've always been a fan of what mentalism is and what it does. Right. But as a kid, I wasn't into, I couldn't even fathom how could somebody get inside of somebody's mind. I knew that I had seen it, but I didn't know how to do that. So I started with card tricks. I started with what I could do.
You started on your own, or did you go to magician school? Or?
There is no, well, I like to say there's no, but there's maybe people that hold schools or classes, but there's no school of magic.
Okay.
It'd be really even hard to quantify or even put in because how do you, even just cards, there's 1,000 card tricks.
Right.
And each card, so it'd be very difficult to have even a school. So my point is, the way I learned was I tell my dad, as a kid, 9 years old, I'm interested in magic.
Yeah.
He had been working in the city, and there was a store called Abracadabra, which is now known as one of the biggest costume stores in New York City. Huge, lines 3 blocks down the block in October to get their costumes.
Authentic costumes.
Right? These are the most expensive costumes.
Like
they're the ones at the movies.
Stuff like that.
This is the place to get it. This is like 2 floors. But in the back, they would have this little magic shop, this little magic area. And if you just walked up, they would show you just quick little tricks. But if you hung out there for long enough, you'd notice that there were some other guys there that weren't just buying, they were hanging out there. And those were the older dudes, the guys that had been in the industry, in the arts, the OGs.
Right, the OGs, yeah.
And they weren't messing with the stuff. This is for the beginners. And when you go deeper, and that's where I get interested. I started hanging out at a magic shop. So
how old?
9 years old.
Damn.
I'm hanging out. My dad's going to the city. Listen, I'm going to go to Best Buy. I need to go do some stuff. You stay here. I got, and I would stay there for hours and hours and hours. And just through hearing, being in it for years upon years
like
upon
osmosis,
years.
Right?
Like osmosis.
Yeah.
I would learn theory, which is the more important thing, which is the theory of how the magician thinks. Because the magician, in essence, is the first level of mentalism, right? It's manipulating just basic human, interaction.
Right.
And that's what the magician does, right? It's like knowing that the eyes will go here versus here. When will the eye go here versus here? So you learn all of these ideas of manipulating what I call the trickster, right?
Okay.
Learning how to trick.
Right.
But eventually that, to me, got old. It was not old. It wasn't fun anymore.
You feel like you graduated past that skill set.
Yeah, it was like, I can trick you.
Right. Right.
Now what?
Yeah.
And I was left with that question maybe around 16, where I was like, and maybe even there, I took a little hiatus off of the magic stuff.
One second.
Yeah,
so,
go ahead,
guys,
'cause I'm moving quickly. Yeah.
No. From 9 years old to 16, 7 years. Just because, and this is just a personal thing, because I got hit up about this recently, and they're like, oh, how did you do this? How did you do that? Well, I've been doing what I do since 2004, which is going to be 20 years next year. So my man here, at 9 years old to 16, he was on the same thing. Just to let people know, like, it's not overnight. Everybody swears, and we can go off on a tangent on that later about, I did it for 6 months. What's up? I'm like, bro, add like 5 years to that. Like, like to become a true master. Right. So trickster, you're done with that. Now where are you?
I was still, as a trickster there, I didn't really have much options. I didn't know where to go. I didn't have the mentorship at that age yet. I had mentorship that had taught me enough tricks, and that is my mentor calling me right now to correct me, because he's a mentalist and he knows no. It's actually scam likely. Those guys call me more than any one of my family members.
I knew they were going to call him. No, I'm kidding. All right, so where do you go? No mentors?
I had mentors that were teaching me magic tricks, but at that age, for me, it was, okay, now that I know tricks, okay, maybe at least I can do some shows. So at the time, it was about doing kids parties. That's what it was, right?
Okay.
So people were hiring, hey, listen, you do that card trick, and you come do it at my son's birthday, my son's bar mitzvah. And that's what I did for a couple of years, was figure out, almost like not get any better.
This is at 16?
At 16.
Okay.
16, I'm now trying to figure out, how do I take this thing that I've been doing and just either monetize it, make a living with this.
Right.
And that's what I do from 16 to 20. Really, just I don't want to say that I plateaued, but I had just been doing magic the way magic has been done, which is just you buy tricks and you have a box maybe and you have a bird, and this is the kind of stuff, traditional magic. That's what you can, there's videos of this on YouTube.
Yeah.
But I had strengthened my entrepreneur bone, which was the figuring out, how do I take this to the market, right?
Well, let me ask you a question. Where did that come from?
At 16,
the entrepreneurship. That's the question.
At 16, my dad is so simultaneously I'm learning magic, I'm getting into a lot of trouble, high school, getting into a lot of trouble in the streets, hanging out, and he in wanting to steer me the right way, he starts handing me books that he's heavy at the time into what's now very, very popular, which is the personal development.
Okay.
But at the time, we're talking 2000.
So nobody knows what that really is.
Yeah, like Les Brown. Now Les Brown is everywhere. He's on every TikTok now. But back then, I knew who Les Brown was at 16. I knew who Anthony Robbins was at 16. Yeah. So there was a lot of good that came from his introducing me to that world, the personal development world.
Yeah.
And personal development almost has always been sort of tied in with entrepreneurship,
right?
And self, and
almost ties into belief.
Yeah, working for yourself and that kind of vision. And it's maybe the first place where I bought into this idea that you should do what you love, and and make money doing it. So I was like, let's see if this is true.
Yeah.
And the second lesson that I got young, and this is for anybody that's young watching this, like, you have a huge asset when you're young, which is just time and the fact that you can mess up and nothing,
availability,
for the most part, is going to go bad. And so I knew that. I was like, okay, 16, okay, I make no money. Cool. I can still
live with mom and dad. I'm good.
Live with mom.
Yeah.
But I figured it out pretty quickly, and I was able to hire, I was able to, people were calling me from, could you do magic? And then somebody would call me and say, listen, I don't want a magician, I want a clown. I said, I'm not a clown, but I can. And I know the magic shop, they sell clown material stuff because can you do you want to do one? I'll give you this much, and I would charge $50 over, $100 over, get my spread. And then I realized, oh wait, I could train my friends.
Oh, so you're managing.
Oh, now I became a manager. And I had friends that I said, I ain't gonna go with the pro. I'm gonna train my own guys to do the face paint, do balloons, and that's what I did. And so we called it My House of Magic.
Okay.
And that's what I did. I took off for a moment the magician hat. I was still in the magic industry, but I took on the manager role.
Yeah, the businessman
and I ran that till about 21. I was just, while my friends were out partying and drinking, and I'm not saying that I was doing a lot of bad stuff there, but that was around that time I locked in. 16, 17, I locked in on the entrepreneur side, trying to, figure it monetize this.
Yeah.
And it worked out, man. I mean, so much so that my dad who, was a professional at the time, was a lieutenant for the fire department. He sees me doing well. He was always in the personal development world. He's like, man, my son's doing it. He leaves his job. He quits his job, not
the fire
retires. Quits.
Wow.
Right? Which is unheard of for the most part. And so, and being like 15 years in.
Wow.
Not like he was new.
So he had like 5 years to go, and
still had it. He could have just waited and kind of. Yeah. He went for it. Went to do this personal development thing, which was not working out for him because he wanted to start of doing himself now, be his own speaker and stuff.
Right.
But it's just that it was taking long, and at the time my thing is taking off, and he actually ended up saying, listen, maybe we partner up, and I brought him on, and I now begin to teach my dad how to do kids parties, how to do balloon animals, how to do face painting, how to get into the business, right? He wants to be a business owner. We need some entertainers.
We need bodies. Yeah.
And he said, okay, and how to do kind candy, and now we're going to invest in bouncing castles because that's what the business is.
Right.
So much so that at 21, we now had built a pretty, sizable business, $20,000 a month. You know what I mean? High expenses because you're paying performers and so you're not keeping a lot.
Right.
But it's a high, income producing business and a lot of traffic. A lot of people having kids parties.
So a lot of volume. Yeah.
A lot of volume.
Always kids popping.
Always kids popping. I don't know. I could keep going the story, but yeah.
No. All right. So your father followed you into the entrepreneurial world.
He teaches me entrepreneurship. I bring him into the entertainment world.
Right. Is he still practicing?
I'll finish that story, which is not only that, but at 21, I was at a point where I was ready to do my next. Either I was gonna go deeper into this thing, but I had now realized that wait a minute, I become the manager, and where was my love for the magic and the performing and. I said the kids parties, that's great and all, but that's not where I knew because I saw myself, and I said, let me refocus on this magic thing. Maybe start doing. And I was doing competitions at the time. I was competing against other magicians.
There's competitions in magic.
There are competitions, just like there's dance competitions,
sports,
dancers. It's like FISM, which is the world competition. It's like the FIFA. It's like where all the magicians around the world come.
Really?
So I was heavy into that, into as early as 18. There's so many stories we're gonna get into. There's a whole documentary on Amazon Prime, on YouTube.
Tell people.
It's all over. If you just go to Google and you type in Misdirection, the real magic, you'll see a documentary that was produced by Morgan Spurlock. He did Super Size Me, the guy that ate McDonald's for 30 days. It was narrated by Common, the rapper actor.
Right. You're in it?
I'm the subject.
Oh shit! Yeah. Misdirection. Tell everybody.
Misdirection. It's been out for a while. 2018 I think came out. But Misdirection. It follows. It's a movie that came out not so long ago, but it's about
years ago,
back 2006.
Wow.
We're talking about 2006.
A decade's worth of work, and you watch me, and it's a stories about two inner city kids, myself and my best friend, who are into magic and are trying to make it. And that's the story. And the story is us trying to find ourselves, but we all both have sort of dark passes. I have the street stuff that I'm trying to get away from. He was dealing with a lot of drug issues and mental illness, but we both did magic, and we were both trying to compete and make it. And so at the time, I saw the business as a distraction. I said, I want to really focus and double down on this. Right.
And I got to make a decision. And my dad said, listen, sell me the business. Let me do this.
Okay.
So, this is what I'm doing. You go do what you're doing. And that's what he did. And I literally, I sold him my half. And I walked out, and till this day, that company is in existence, and that's how he pays his mortgage, and that's a legit. That's how he,
What's the name of the company? And tell
My
people.
House of Magic. Yeah,
My House of Magic.
New York City. If you need any, any entertainment of any kind for children, for the most part, children entertainment, bouncy castles, all that kind of stuff.
My House of Magic. Okay, cool.
My House of Magic. Yeah, all right. On Google.
So now we're evolving, and when I mean we, I mean you.
Yes.
Right. So now where are we going? Like we're like, all right, Dad, you got the business. So do you know what your next step is, or you just like I just don't know what it is, but
I thought it was this competition. The documentary's following me. Now it's been like a couple of years. At 21, I go for the last competition. At this point, the documentary has seen me go through like 2 competitions that I've lost.
Okay.
I'm like,
you're like, where's the dub? Where's the dub?
Like where like. So they're like, listen, why don't you try telling your story of coming from Brooklyn, being involved with gangs and all this other stuff that nobody's ever really talked about doing magic. But like, so instead of you talking about your grandpa showed you a magic box, why don't you say some real shit?
Authentic
stuff. Right. And I was like, and I started to create an act where I would talk about, being in my grandfather, in my grandmother's basement, which was where we lived,
Right.
and how, how I remember getting into magic during Christmas and, waiting for my dad to come home, and, he had this box, and I knew it was the trick that I had asked him for, and, and he came home, and then so as I'm talking, things are happening.
Right.
So it's just visual magic. So that ended up becoming my act,
Okay.
where I would tell this story about my life, and then eventually how I would go from this kid to people telling me that you can't be that shit, man. You can't be no magician. Would you even be a magician?
Yeah.
You know what I
Especially
mean?
from the hood.
Yeah. And so then we get serious into that, and how that turns left. And I said, man, so then I said, fuck it. You know what? All right, then fuck this shit for a while.
Right.
And we went, and it went there, and and it ended up people dying, and I was able to refine this childhood thing that I loved, and it allowed me to, change my own life.
Yeah.
And so and then it ends at the end. It's like my water turns to snow, and so that I had this whole act, and it did pretty well. Like on my last round of like this last competition, I took that act, I did it. That's how the documentary is like. They're hoping this is it. This is gonna bring it home.
Yeah,
Devonte's gonna win, man. The audience loved it. They were clapping. Some people were crying, man. It was a very emotional moment. This happened in Tennessee, which I thought nobody would connect with me because I'm talking about Crips and the Bloods, and I'm like, man, people were like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
But I tell this story, and people were like really moved to tears. And long story short, I didn't even win the competition. I didn't even place in the competition, but it taught me something more importantly. It brought me closer to this guy named Tom Werner, who was in the audience.
Okay.
It's funny, he actually DM'd me today. Tom Werner would eventually be the first, I think, key person to really change my life in a dramatic way. And Tom, just so you can imagine him, he looks like Santa Claus, big white beard.
Okay.
He doesn't have the belly as much, but big white beard, just white hair and glasses. And you have glasses on? Probably didn't, but that's what I think about when I see him, Santa Claus.
It's your visual.
And he comes in and he has tears in his eyes. He's with his wife. I'm thinking, why does he have
In
tears?
Tennessee.
This is in Tennessee.
Okay.
I'm like, why does this old white man have tears in his eyes about the story that I told about, like a kid from Brooklyn, getting in Bloods and then magic changing his life? And he says, I run an organization called Magicians Without Borders. I've been going to refugee camps to the most forgotten places around the world, and I perform magic for the kids of refugee camps and this. And I have an organization now that I'm working with in El Salvador, because El Salvador is being ravaged by the gangs and the MS-13. He said these kids, they live in this really dangerous area, and they need something like a YMCA-ish type of thing, or else they're the next leaders of these gangs. So I'm going there, and right now I'm just showing them magic, and what do you think? He says, you literally are Spanish. You could speak the language. You can probably connect with them a lot better than I can. We can team up on this. What do you think? And in my time, at that time right there, and this you kind of see in the documentary, magic at that point had become a way for me to become famous and rich and the private jets. And that's what you are. You're 18 years old. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's this like, I want the fame. I want the riches. I want the this. Because I had, I guess, perceived that that's what that personal development, the entrepreneurship was. Yeah. What do you want? You want the car? You want the big
success?
Yeah, that was the thing. And this was supposed to get me there, but he wasn't offering me this. He was offering me probably a economy flight to El Salvador to stay in a bunk somewhere. And probably not, and I'm not getting paid for this. You know what I mean? So like, this is the exact opposite of what I thought at the time. But I said, let's do it, right?
Okay.
And he says to me, do you trust me? He says, we're in Tennessee. He says, you're in New York? He says, yeah. I said, yeah. He says, I'll be in JFK with your ticket to El Salvador, September, blah, 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 month later. If you trust me, meet me there. And that's what literally like that, like a movie.
And you just
showed up to an airport to meet a guy that I had met once.
Right.
There was no communication at the time. There was no like me texting back and forth.
Yeah, there was no.
It's just I showed up to an airport literally to meet a guy that I've never met, to go to a country that I've never been. Right. So I don't know if he's trying to do anything. You know what I mean? I don't know. And I get on, and I remember sharing this with him, like sharing my insecurities with him, and sharing that. I even shared that like. I was trying to be so self-aware that I remember going to this, knowing that I was going on this like sort of nonprofit
journey
trip. And I was thinking to myself, because I was so like, I think skewed of like, how am I going to use this to prop my image or my brand?
Right. How's it going to work? Right. How's it going to work for me?
How is this going to, how am I going to finesse this?
Yeah.
I'm going to do good, but how am I going to finesse? Is that a bad question? Is that a bad question one can ask themselves? But I remember asking him, like, how can I rid myself of that, man? Like, I just want to actually do good. Like, could I just do good to be good? Like, I did not try that.
You asked him that question?
I asked him this on the plane.
Dope.
And he said, like, just be present, bro. Like, don't promise people stuff that, like, just genuinely be there and, like, go. And, like, there's no, like, forget the whole, like, at the time, there's not even social media necessarily, but, like, just, like, really be there and, like, just be present, really, is what he was saying.
Right.
And so we ended up meeting the kids, and that's the only line I remember him saying is like, the only thing I don't want you to, don't promise these kids anything that you're not willing to like put your life on, bro.
Right.
The one thing they've been to is lied to. Don't fucking lie to these kids. I don't care what you do. You can post them, don't lie to them. Don't tell them you're gonna be back and I'm gonna be my best friend. And don't fucking lie to them. Like just keep it real. They've been lied to enough. So I was like, heard you. Remember after the first trip, like we spent 3 days with the kids. We were doing magic. We were teaching them magic. And then at the end, of course, they asked me, are you going to come back? And I'm like, I remember what he asked me. And I was like, fuck. I was like, yeah, I'll come back. And then, man, 5 years on a journey of going back. Every 3 months, I would be back to El Salvador.
Really?
To work with these kids. The organization was called the Barefoot Angels. Okay. And I would work with the Barefoot Angels, and we would meet some of the kids from 8 to 9 and teach them magic. And, anyway, so that's where I actually, the reason I'm telling this story is because it's where I went from seeing my career in magic from a business of trying to just become famous and have all the money in the world.
Monetize, right?
A vehicle to monetize.
Right.
And this was for the first time I was doing it to give and not necessarily have to receive anything.
Right.
And while I was there, I would then truly unlock something for myself, which was my why. Right. And the why came through a kid named Zumbita, who's been a lot on my mind for the last 3 days. I've been, thinking about him a lot. And he's just one of these kids that, I meet, I relate to a lot. He had been through a lot, way more than me. Right. I used to carry this story of this Brooklyn
in a war
kid.
zone. Right.
Yeah, I used to carry this story about this Brooklyn kid and the gangs and this.
It's just crazy out here.
But then I was like, man, I heard this kid's story, man. Yeah. The first thing, the way he changed my life is he gave me perspective. Like he just... we don't really realize that, we're looking at the world from our perspective. And so to you, it looks like the complete picture.
Right.
And so your truth is the ultimate truth. Everything's ultimate in your own perspective.
Right.
And what he did was he shattered what I thought was whatever it was. And he allowed me to see more than I saw before.
And he probably wasn't even trying to do it on purpose. Just telling the story.
He was just being himself. And Zumbita I would eventually, work with him and the game plan was to just teach them magic tricks, right? I mean, that's what you go. These kids are poor, so let's teach them magic tricks, show them magic trick. Call it a day and we're out. And I was like, nah, we're not. I like charity, but after going 5 years, I was like, I'm not charity no more. These kids don't need charity, bro. They need a way out. They need to be shown how to fish. They need something. They don't need you know what I mean? A pity distraction. Yeah, right? Let me distract you from the fucking nonsense that you have going on. Yeah. And then you have to go back to that. And I was like, I didn't feel good about that. I didn't feel good that we had to keep coming back every time to sort of put a Band-Aid on what's happening. And I'm having this conversation with Tom, I remember, in the airport on our way back. Huh?
With Santa Claus.
Yeah, with Santa Claus. And also now, because all the kids used to call him Papa Noel, in Spanish. So I tell him this, and he's looking at me with his beard, and he's just like, well, I'm old, and I'm not going to come and do this. So if you want to do this, stay here and figure this thing out, this plan you have, and figure it out. Stay right now. Don't get on this plane with me. And I'm like... And for the next couple of months, I would move into El Salvador and live there.
Really?
And help put together what I imagined and what I envisioned was a gang of magicians that would spread the same way a gang spreads. In that, you don't need anybody to force the gang. There's something about the way that the dynamics of a gang is put together that they spread, and then they go somewhere else, and they have cliques. And if that's for destruction, then can't we do that for something that's positive? Positive. Yeah. And then I said, well, yeah, because we got the Barefoot Angels, and there is a group mentality of we can stay together and. Group mentality can be bad and good, right?
Right.
And in that case, I said, there's leaders in any organization. You're gonna have the people that are the leaders. They can influence. They can move.
Right.
You want to highlight those people. You want to encourage those people, right? Not that those other people are bad, but the other people will follow them. So you don't have to move everybody. You move the ones that matter. You get them on board. And I said, if we could do that for bad, let's do it for good. And because I knew how to do it for bad, I learned how to do it for good. And so for a couple of months, that's what I did. I put a couple of key plays in place. So much so that it was able to survive without us being there. And so what ended up being, the positive side of that was Tom, where it would only exist wherever he was.
Right.
Now he could go somewhere else and it was still happening.
Perpetuate. Right, I got you.
Till this day, we've now went from not just El Salvador, now we're in Colombia, all the time. So in Colombia, there's a school now there of locals, of people that are doing this. It's not, they don't need Tom. You know what I mean? If Tom shows up, it's a cool surprise, but they don't need him. There's a school in Mumbai, in the red light district. Like now we have these cliques all over the place, and I'm glad to see it, where it's been. I only had something to do with in those 5 years and what I started, but ever since there, it's obviously, grown its own wings, and I'm happy to see where it's gone. But I always saw myself at least parting ways with it because I thought it should have its own wings.
So when you saw enough momentum, you said, okay, guys, I'm good.
It was when I saw momentum, and then I realized that at one point I was telling these kids, go follow your dreams, go follow your dreams, go follow your dreams. And at what point was I not following my dreams? I was doing good, and I loved what I was doing.
Right.
But I don't know if I was necessarily following my dreams. So so that's where my why was. I found that like I was fulfilled by helping. So that was the first time that like, oh, this thing I'm chasing is not gotten by what I can attain, but it's attained by what I can give.
Right.
And that's a
game changer.
That was a game changer.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Do you feel that I feel that, and I say this in a very humble way, most of my success comes from giving with no expectation. Just like, yo, man. I mean, I'll use you as an example. I didn't know you, but I saw what you did. I said, yo, I want that experience at my house. So I reached out. It is what it is. Yo, that's the price. All right, let's do it. Boom, boom. And it wasn't like there was no guarantees. There was no guarantees you would even show up, right? But I had faith, right? And I feel that the more I'm like that, the more good shit tends to happen. Do you feel that on your side as well? Like if you do stuff like, I mean, I don't know, man. I don't want it to spin negative, but I'm sure you have people that try to negotiate with you all the time, this and that, but sometimes you're like, yo, I rock with this dude. Let me just do this. And things turn out really well. Because I've seen, like, now you're all over. You're, like, traveling all over the place. So has this been a gradual thing? Or did you see, like, a small explosion recently? Or what is that about?
Of the amount of shows that I'm doing?
Yeah, because you're busy in the motherfucker right now. I see you. Yeah, because I wanted. We text all the time, like, because it's all support. It's not like, yo, I'm not saying because I'm counting your pocket. I'm just saying, yo, no. Dope. Yeah, I'm happy.
Thank you, brother. You asked me that, and then I don't want to lose something because you had gotten to something that made me think of something. So you said earlier, that you have found it. That when you're open like that, when I gave you a price and you could have haggled, you could have this, but you were open. You were saying, you were trusting yourself. You said, you know what, I'm gonna put faith. You know what, I'm gonna do this. Not necessarily blind faith. You know who I was, so I'm not saying everybody should go out there.
We had kind of people in common, so
you did your homework. But at the end of the day, you took the leap of faith.
Yeah.
And you're saying, just because I want to recap that, and then I'll get into like being busy and stuff. But man, I almost feel like the short answer is yes. I do believe that, when somebody's open like that, when you have that kind of like, when you give, you receive.
I mean, you're a mentalist. I believe in energy.
Yes.
Like there's some people you talk to, even if it's like a DM or like, oh, okay, cool. Like you'll know it's kind of authentic, right? Yeah. And it's what they're saying is what they're meaning, not, like, hey man, do you want to grow your Instagram follow? Like what the fuck? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you get those people. Do you feel that a lot or like, I mean, in the business part, not to get too personal, but you had questions about real estate. And I tell you, whatever you need me to do, bro, you just want to talk about it, I'll tell you. And this is my perspective. And this is how I would look at, if I was you, this is my situation. That's how I would attack it. No, not selling anything, but just really giving my sincere opinion and giving you my time, which is the one thing we have that we can't get back.
Yeah. And connecting that all together is how we end up with the influx of shows now, right? And I think that I was planting seeds for a long time. And I think that when I stopped doing the nonprofit work and I came back and I said, and I kept the giving, right? So the giving shows up in different ways. When I got back, maybe I'm not doing a show for the local kids, but I would go to, whether I might have been, at the time, I remember I was like, okay, when I'm now back in New York from the nonprofit, I said, okay, I learned the lesson, give, right? Anything. So I started doing it at senior citizen homes, offering shows, anybody that I could give shows to almost. And I realized it's almost even better if you can even build yourself up so that the gift is even better, right? So it's almost like, don't even be cheap with the gift, right? Like be really almost generous with that gift. So instead, before I was like, okay, I'm giving you guys a level 5 Devonte. You know what I mean? Like
I give you the 10.
Let me work on myself a little bit. Now I'm now thinking, okay, I've been doing these magic tricks for the kids forever. And I was like, I really want to do something for adults. Something that if I were to look at this point, I would say like, whoa.
Yeah.
And I always remember that the mentalism stuff was where my heart was at, but I never really dared to really go into it. And one, I knew that it was gonna be a lot of work.
Right.
And I just said, I had a leap of faith, and I said, I think I got this, and I think that if I don't rush this, if I give myself 4 or 5 years, even
to develop,
I got this.
Right.
If I'm 25 at the time, I got this, and so it was about that. It took me like from 25 to really like 30 to really feel in any way sure that I could actually start even hiring myself as just a mentalist. And so I piggybacked off the magic, because I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do a magic show, and I'm going to just try one little mentalism effect. And if I mess it up, if I say, think of a name and I don't get it, cool.
It's all right, because I keep into
I'm here for your kids.
Almost like distraction.
You didn't pay me for this. You know what I mean? I'm here for your kids.
Yeah.
Man, you don't even know that you got
it's
a
bonus.
Yeah,
it's a bonus. Yeah.
And as I worked on this, I started realizing, like, I feel that I did have an inclination from this since I was a kid, that the magic part had helped me sort of bypass all the other things you need to learn, which is how to be in front of people, how to talk, how to just be a person.
Right.
So that I had been able to stand on top of that. And now I could accept the mentalism for what it is, which is now the no props is just learning how to be with people in that space, where it's not no longer, let me trick you, let me connect with you, is a completely different thing. And I was like, yeah, that's the kind of language I like. I want to connect with people. I don't want to leave here and you feel like, damn, I just feel like an idiot. Look, sometimes people feel like that because they make themselves feel like that. But that my point
I can't help everybody.
Yeah. What I'm trying to do is connect with people. I'm trying to, in a way connect with people. And I learned that through mentalism, I do it best. And so I began slowly but surely to transition into that. And while still giving, I was planting these seeds, and I can't say that it was overnight at all, man. I'm talking about 2000. Now we're talking about, I'm 25 in 2015, I guess. In 2015, I'm 25. 2016, 2017, all the way up to 2019, I'm working my mentalism. I'm about to be 29. And just around there, it starts to click. I get my first client that's like a business client that says, you know what? I see that this isn't for kids. This is like something else. This is something, I'm gonna put this up. We're gonna do it in marketing. That's what it was, I remember. It was ad week in New York City. And it was all these marketing companies, all these business executives coming in, and I was gonna get up and do mentalism. And that kicked it off, and that allowed me to then have this new space to be in, which was not Devonte just doing these magic tricks, but Devonte doing mentalism for adults, right? Which can really move an adult to not just say, man, that was a cool trick, but to really like, what?
Yeah, like blow people's minds.
Something really just happened different.
Yeah.
And anyway, we can keep going on from there, but yeah.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Listen, mentalism is no joke. You walk into a crowded room of people you've never met before, and I'm just breaking down the experience I had. You take a piece of paper, you write some shit down. We're gonna go there, and then at the end of the fucking show, you basically quote somebody saying something about somebody in the fucking room. So I haven't sat down trying to break it up. I'm not trying to, but there's obviously some fucking skill to that, bro. Because at my event we have 50 people, all inebriated. Just FYI, so it's not regular people. Fucking people toasty as fuck. And yeah, you had said. I remember my son. He said some shit about it wasn't even a soda. I forgot, but it was funny how you caught them both.
Right. And
I was like, damn. So yeah, man. Like the experience is definitely something that, unless you've experienced it, it's hard. It's hard because like you're skeptical. You're like, whatever. It's not happening. But they got you at bar mitzvahs. They got you a thing. We're going to do an event in the summer. You didn't even know about it, but we're going to do one at this restaurant. And it'll be like an executive type corporate event. But it's mind blowing. And your shit in California is called mindfuck, right?
Yes. So actually, let me take you from there to this, which is the jump was we planted all these seeds. We're building up. We're getting right next to actually quarantine. So right when the marketing week happened, and then after that, these businesses are starting to call me. Right. We go into quarantine, which shuts down my entire business. So here I was, 2015. I'm working all this stuff to try to get to this place that I thought I could get to, and of course, it all goes away. Right. Which then, and this is I say, pivot. Yeah, Plato says, what is it? Is the mother of necessity? He says. It's just like, losing everything.
Necessity is the mother of invention, I believe.
Yes. I believe. Necessity is the mother of invention. Correct.
Okay.
And man, was I needing of something of invention. And not just money, but also how do I do what I love? I wanted to connect with people, and here was quarantine. You can't be outside. You can't do nothing. And of course, Instagram was popular because that's the only thing we could do. And so Instagram Live was a thing, and Instagram Live allowed us to go live with people at least. So that was the first idea that I had, and then I said, okay, maybe I can do this mentalism online, but I don't know how to do that online because most of the techniques and everything I've learned with mentalism is all done in person.
Right.
All of my mentors have done it in person. You know, there's some things you can do over the phone, but not really. And so it took some time to really figure that out.
So
and
you fucking went mentalism 2.0.
we had to bring it to 2.0 because we had no choice.
Yeah.
So I want to say that, you know, myself and definitely a couple of other guys, you know, I'm talking about a handful of guys in the world, right, did this. And I'm talking like I can count them on one finger, one hand, one finger.
One.
No, there's a couple. There's definitely a couple. Definitely in Israel, there's like 3 of them together that pretty much probably can be responsible for everything else. But with that being said, I was just starting to give it away for free because instead of trying to just get clients, I was like, these guys can't hire me anyway.
Yeah,
so I'm gonna
go over there.
I'm gonna just give it.
Right.
And I was doing the mentalism. Now, at the time, mentalism now isn't just like me doing a magic trick for free. I've worked so hard on this mentalism. I feel like, man, I deserve to get paid, but it's almost like the gift had now gotten better now because now the gift that I'm giving you wasn't the thing that, whatever, I'll give you this little card trick.
I'm working on it. Yeah, now I'm a fucking professional.
I'm giving you this like work.
Yeah, the experience.
This thing that I've worked on. But that had also a greater impact coming right back. So when you ask me questions like, yo, I see you here and I see you there, man, when the doors opened up and the people from Instagram were like, wait, now you can come to our cities and we could do this. Now I have not just people trying to hire me, you know, the corporate people, which now are open and the lines are now coming in, and the people that want private events and stuff. But now you have all those people that were following me on Instagram. Now, some of them, they're not companies. They're not going to be able to afford, you know, a couple grand to try to get a mentalist out to their city. So how do they do it? So what I did was I said, you know what? We have to find a way to get ticket sales that people can come, you know what I mean, at a fraction of the price. And you can have your experience, you know what I mean? You can actually see a mentalist. What is a mentalist? You know, and so that's what we've been doing. So what you've been seeing is I've taken this show that I've created called Mindfuck. And it's basically, we started it here in New York. We just did a series of it in California. We'll probably be bringing it all over the top cities, Florida, Houston.
So what do? You get a venue?
We get a venue.
How many people do you get in the venue?
One of the key things about this show is that it's intimate. So we try to keep it between 50 and 75 people.
Okay.
The difference between this and let's say a Vegas stage illusion show is that it doesn't matter where you're sitting, you're all just watching the stage and just the lady will disappear whether you are paying attention or not. Right. With a mentalism show, it's really about you and it's interactive with you and you really have to be at the edge of your seat and paying attention. And I find that the experience is better when you have a story to say. If you were part of a show and you had nothing to do with it, you probably leave thinking everybody was an actor. Really? So when you have too big of a theater, I find that's the case. So we've found ways to do it, you know, and I'm actually scaling because that's right now I'm working with that group. I want to learn how to then get a bigger group, but still give you that intimate feeling. And I think we'll get there. But right now, we're working with that 50 to 75.
Okay. And how do do you have a tour dates or?
So we have April 28th is the next show here in New York City. Okay. And then, you know, I think, you know, depending on when you see this, I think you should just follow me on Instagram, right? And follow my journey and follow what we're up to, which is Devonte Magic, DEVONTE. And then the word magic. But that's where we'll put up all the dates of like where we'll be. But the next one will be April 28th, and that's Mindfuck in New York City.
I also see that you're doing courses.
No, so that was an April Fool's. Because I get that asked a lot. You know, do you give classes? Do you give courses? And there's nothing wrong with that to do it. You know, it just takes a lot of time. It's a whole other thing.
Yeah, it's a study. It's a culture. So what is what's the number one question you get? Like there has to be one, right? Like
how do you do it?
Is that the question? Yeah. How do you do it? Yeah. Like, all right. So just for people that don't know, he can unlock your phone. You won't tell him the code, but he'll find out the code. Yes. I still think it shows wild. He can guess a name you're thinking. Yes. He can turn $5 bills into $100 bills. Yes. That's a dope fucking trick. You'd be rich like that. What else what haven't I seen that you may have been working on?
Mostly now I'm working on things for stage. So I do a lot of these like sort of individual one-on-ones. Yeah. But I've been looking to do, like I was saying, now I want to think, how do we put maybe 100 people in a room.
Right.
So things that are playing a little bit bigger is the stuff that I've been working on. So on stage right now, I have something that's a little bit more like hypnosis.
Okay.
So just trying to find different disciplines that go hand in hand with mentalism.
Yeah.
Because there's only so many times I can specifically read your mind before you the audience kind of realizes like, okay, whatever he asks them, he's gonna guess it apparently. So this element of surprise, the element of surprise is gone. It's still amazing. I still don't know how you do it.
Right.
But I know you're gonna do it.
Right.
So
right.
the point is, at the beginning, we need them to be skeptical because that's what makes it interesting. It's like, there's no way.
Yeah.
There's a way.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
But so we're trying to find different ways. Hypnosis is something that I get asked a lot. Do you do hypnosis? Can you do it? So we're trying to find ways to sort of bring in, I would call it sort of pseudo hypnosis, because full hypnosis is its own thing. I'm not doing full hypnosis.
I remember at my event, me and my wife went up. And he touched her head, but I thought I felt it on my head.
Yes.
What is that? Is that pseudo hypnosis?
It's a classic mentalism effect. I mean, probably one of the most classic. I mean, it's probably telling the word that somebody's thinking in a book.
Yeah.
Or this one, which is, feeling, which is like, feeling, there's different mentalism, call it different things, but, let's call it, I think the way many of us know it as, is like telekinesis.
Right.
So that's a little bit more towards that. So the idea that, energy and people can feel.
Transfer of energy. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
I think continuing to do what we're doing, which is to I feel like in my mind, I have this campaign of wanting to share hope, but there's a certain kind of hope that I'm looking to share. It's a certain, almost like a certain state of mind that I'm looking to get people in, and maybe I won't achieve it to necessarily get people there, but the goal is to carry that banner of this mission that we have to every household in the world, and so to become a household name, to get closer to that household name. More specifics. I'd love to have a residency somewhere. Eventually something that
Vegas.
people can come in. Vegas is a great spot because it's so tourist driven, but there's
it's lucrative too.
Yeah, and it's lucrative, $millions of dollars.
Yeah,
$1 million deals.
Change your life. Yeah.
Maybe, I think that I see, when I hear Vegas, I see it as like what most people see Florida, what Florida used to be, which was a retirement,
Right.
Now I know it's the spot to be, but back then, that's why I see Vegas. It's like, that's where I kind of think my career is done if I'm there almost.
Okay.
Not in a bad way.
Right.
It's just like you have David Blaine, for example. That's it. So if he's done his TV, he's done it. He's had his marketing, sort of his like TV run. And now he's kind of like, I don't know if you know, but he has a show in Vegas, and it's a big deal because he's never been in Vegas. So now he's on Vegas. Copperfield did tours and tours and tours and sold tickets and sold venues all over the world. And now he has his residency. Now he's just chilling.
He's in Vegas.
So to me, that's where all the magicians go to sort of, once you've toured, once you've done your TV run. So honestly, to answer your question a little bit more specific, I actually can answer that. In the same way, we want to be household names. And to be a household name, I think you have to be in household TV. So whether that's Netflix, YouTube, notice I go with those two first.
Yeah.
And then classic TV.
Who's a contemporary in your field? Like, I don't know of anybody else.
Darren Brown. Yeah, Darren Brown is probably the most famous.
And you guys, is it a fraternity? Like,
in a way.
I'll give you an example.
For sure.
Like in real estate and finance, it's a mutual respect, right? But everybody has their own persona. Everybody has their own style.
Yes.
And some people, you're respectful of each other, but you just kind of don't align. Do you find that to be in your field as well?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Because we're all doing the same thing, and then we're all critical of each other, because really what you're just trying to say is, I wouldn't do it that way. But it's good. You shouldn't want to do it that way.
Right. You should do it your way.
Nonetheless, what's cool is that we're all doing the same thing somehow.
Right.
So we're connected
the end
by
result,
that.
right? The end result is the same, right? And do you feel that you guys share audiences?
That's the other thing. No, it's very similar to your industry in the sense that it's the approach, how you want to go about it. Your demographic is going to be different.
Right.
Your dress is going to be different. One person has to wear a suit. The other person refuses to wear a suit. The other person just wants to wear in between because that's who they are. So all that flavor, all those nuances also are in mentalism, and so that's what we're moving. We're moving those pieces.
Do you feel like a lot of Latinos are into mentalism? I feel like the Nuevo Latino is more into like the guy who's kind
watching or doing it.
Watching.
I think everybody loves it. I think that's what I love about what I do, which is that it does. I don't want to say everybody, that's an absolute, but more than not, I find that the majority of the room will be open to magic and mentalism and being wowed than people not.
You ever get the OGs? Ay, Santeria. You never get that? Like,
sure. And then you have some that are doing it jokingly, but you have some that are doing it seriously. Like, some people that really feel some type of way.
Yo, man, it's fucking experience, man. Thank you for being on the show. Please tell people where they can book you or contact you, look into the camera.
Yes.
I mean, I don't want to be corny and be like, what number am I guessing? But we can expand on so many different things.
Well, why don't we do something? We should do something like that. Maybe behind the camera, can we get a piece of paper and, and something to write with? That should be pretty simple, right? And since you've been saying about this number, let's do something. But I don't want to just do it so that I just guess it after you're thinking about it. I actually want to do it a little bit different. I'm going to guess this ahead of time. Actually, I'm going to write something down, a prediction. So this is in mentalism. There's many ways. And I'm going to show you something on my phone in a minute. I just brought it up.
Okay. He's getting your paper right now.
Okay, perfect. Actually, here, you actually do this yourself. This is actually going to be better. Here.
Okay, what am I doing?
It's my phone here. Hold on to it.
It's all good.
Yeah.
All right, guys, this is not rehearsed.
Let's do this.
All right, got his phone.
Got it. Now, I'm going to write something, and this will be a prediction. This is, could be, I don't know. But I don't want you to see it just yet. So you just close your eyes tight so everybody can see that you're definitely not looking.
Not looking.
And we'll show the camera. Let's see. So should I hold it back maybe? I got it right here. We'll close it to me. So everybody can see what it says. And I'm going to hold this like this now. Okay, you can open your eyes. So here, actually, I'll fold it so you can't see.
Okay.
Hold on to this paper, but don't look at it yet.
Okay. I got your phone and piece of paper.
Yes. And actually, here, let me show you what's going to happen. So in a moment, you're going to decide whether you already have a number in your mind. Do you want to choose a different number? But just so that everybody watching at home or hearing, I want you to think of any number between, let's say, 1 and 100. Okay? This could be any number. This could be the number you already had.
Okay.
Or maybe it's a number that I've already influenced you on to change your mind.
Okay.
It's all in your mind anyway. Right. But you decide right now. I actually can't change what I wrote.
Right. It's already written.
It's already written.
Right.
I can't go over there. I can't switch it. And even if I could, everyone's at home already watched it by this time.
All the viewers.
That's it.
Okay.
For the first time, say it. What number could have possibly came to your mind right now? Say it.
39.
No, but do this yourself. Look. No, I know you're not going to believe me. Take this here.
All right.
Open up the notes.
Notes.
Tell me, what's the first thing on the notes?
New list.
Yes, it says new list. What's the second thing?
Commonly selected cards.
You're going to go all the way down. Do you see celebrities? There's a list of celebrities.
Yes.
So it's the only list of celebrities, right?
Yes.
Open that up. Who's number 1?
50 Cent.
Let's go
50
random.
cents.
50 cents. Who's number 5?
P. Diddy.
P. Diddy. The point is that these are all random numbers. You could have said, what number did you... Actually, go to your number and remember this name.
All right.
Go to your number. Who's a person right after your number? Who would have been the person right after?
Nelson Mandela.
It could have been, but it wasn't.
Okay.
Who was the one that you actually chose? The number that you actually chose, who was it?
Kobe Bryant.
Open that piece of paper.
And that's just the way it is. R.I.P. Kobe Bryant. This fucking guy. And on that note, thank you.
Thank you, brother.
Yo, that shit never gets old, bro. Does your wife get mad at you for guessing everything she thinks?
Hates it.
That shit.
I'm trying to see if you can unlock my phone, man.
Yeah, you want me to do it?
Honestly, yeah.
Can I? Yeah. All right, let's do it. Do you trust this guy with your password? Or do you trust him with your password?
Someone's gotta know it.
Yes.
I trust Omar.
Verify it, right?
Come over here, actually. Oh, yeah, come in front, maybe in front here.
Yeah.
Leave the
And
camera rolling.
Open up your phone.
Yep.
And here, come around.
Yep.
And open up. Actually, fuck. You don't. Nah, I don't want you to write it because then maybe anybody could see it. Open up your calculator. Let's do it this way.
Sure.
And clear out anything that's on your calculator.
Yep.
And let's just say I'm just giving an example. Let's say his password is 1234. This is an example. You're going to put 1234 into your calculator. Wait, I'm just giving an example. If let's say it starts with 0, that it won't register the 0, just skip the 0. But the point is, put in all the numbers in your password. I will look down. Obviously, I don't want to be accused of maybe seeing what he's writing. Nobody else is seeing what he's written. Do you have it on your calculator?
I'll do it right now.
Am I looking at it?
Not yet.
Okay.
And so he's going to do this very discreetly. He's looking around. He knows. I mean, this is the camera guy in general, so he knows where all the cameras are.
Am I allowed to turn away?
Do it. Yes. Be as discreet as you need to be.
Sure.
Be wherever you need to be to do it. Hide it from anybody. If you need to leave the room, that's even better. And actually let him keep the phone, but you also just cover the phone and be just as discreet as he was.
Okay.
Can you remember this number?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Oh, so fast. Okay, do this. Second question. Actually, do this. Go to the home screen so you're not looking at the number.
Okay.
Yes?
Yes.
Right now, if I quickly ask you to tell me what the number is, you could tell me without looking?
Yes.
Interesting. Lock the phone on the side. Wipe off any fingerprints he might have left. I don't know if he was eating something or maybe he might have left something, you know? I don't want any clues. And because he might have Face ID, you try to unlock it.
Okay.
Not with the password. Just try to see that it is locked. Do not unlock it. Just try to see that it's locked.
Yeah.
And it is locked.
Yeah.
Can I see? Now I'm gonna hold the phone towards you.
Yeah.
Like this, so everybody can see. Yes?
Yep.
But I need to be able to see the person I'm reading. So I'm gonna go work with you. Look at me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. Come a little bit closer. You're. The reason I have two people look at this is because just in case he's trying to throw me off, which most people will do, especially with their password, they'll say like, "No, fuck that. I'm thinking 0, 0, 0, 0 or whatever." They'll think 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Yeah. This is where he'll come in just to help me out, make sure that it's actually that you're not fucking with me. Okay. So I'll go here. Look at me.
You're fucking kidding me, dude. Holy shit. That's crazy.
Oh shit!
Wow.
And there it is.
I wasn't even trying to hide it either. So I was just like, I wonder if he could do it. Damn. Like in my mind.
Well, we know that he can now.
Wow. That's crazy, man.
You gotta change your password now, bro.
That's some shit. It's a very obscure password. I'm really surprised you got that.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Me too. Yo, man. God bless you, brother.
Thank you, bro.
God bless you.
Thank you.
God bless you. I'm glad to know you. This is my personal belief. It's not, it's not fucking the law. If once you start questioning somebody's value, right? We're not gonna talk numbers, but let's say, yo, man, can you do better than that? Yo, I want you to show up and I want you to give me a number 10 fucking show. I don't want a number 5 show. And this is just me because a lot of people don't think like me. I want, this is your number. All right, here's your, no doubt, let's do it. So when you show up, I expect greatness, right? And you're already pumped because he's like, yo, this nigga, he fucks with me. He values me. So let me put my show on. So I feel like that. Like, I feel like, yo, do the right thing. Don't exploit.
But it's a feeling.
Money.
It's a thought.
Yeah.
But it's not guaranteed.
Nope.
Because you could definitely go and pay that full price and that person still give you a 5.
But I live my life that way.
Yeah.
And more often than not, that's what happens. And it's because I believe I put that energy out, Like the same way, like if you had questions, I give you the answers. Or where other guys can be like, oh, you want to buy this? You want to make an offer? You're like, nah, man, I just don't know what the fuck to do. Oh, what do you think? Right? That's really the question. All right, well, let's take this all. Let's break this up. This is what I think, and and hopefully I was helpful. But it's all genuine.
They contacted. They were like, what are we pricing this at? Because they know that day is coveted, and
Right, it's an expensive day.
A lot of people try to call, and I'm like, there's only and
I can only do so many shows.
Yeah, there's only one guy. You know what I mean? I don't
I can't
have
do
many
places.
to discount. I only have one guy, and especially that one day that everybody wants. So, I remember saying like, and I think I don't know how it works, but we ended up getting where like, nah, they're not looking to discount. I was just like, man, like that you to me.
Devonte said,
I know I can't say this, but
Devonte
like,
said, yo, O's a real one.
O's a real one. For
Yeah,
real.
straight up.
I did say
I
that.
know it's New Year's.
Yeah.
I was like, what am I gonna say?
But to me, that's magic. Like, see, I don't know. Yeah. I guess I was drilled yesterday on these questions. Like, do you believe in magic? And I'm like, I don't know how to explain it, but that is magic. What are you talking about, Devonte? He's just fucking beat himself. Yeah. But I'm hyper focused on something here.
Right.
I'm hyper focused on the magic dust that nobody really focuses on, but it's on there, which is this ability to give. I don't know how to explain this. Like, it's like who you are and what you didn't just give you what you thought it did, which is you paid more, so you're supposed to get a 10. No, I say that what you did by being in that state of mind and doing it from that place. So I may be here. What I'm actually trying to say is that intention almost matters here also.
Absolutely.
So your
All day.
intention there, I think, has had a bigger ripple, right? Which I think explains our relationship even deeper, right? Had you maybe, said $500, maybe I wouldn't have, but you know what I mean? I'm like, I don't know. I don't really, you know what I mean? Like, ask me to come through and
like
I'm like.
like you said, it sets the fucking tone of the relationship, right? Like, like it's New Year's Eve. It's a fucking epiphany that I had because nobody told me to do this. I was like, yo, I'm gonna get this mental.
And no, everybody has this idea, by the way, but no. And I'm like, so when people say like, oh, I want you at my house party, so like, I don't know if you know,
I want you at my house party.
I don't do like even bar mitzvahs. A lot of people say like, yo, you work with Jewish people, you do must do. When they hear, because their budget for bar mitzvahs are their budget, but when they hear that budget, like, oh, we could get a magician for that. I could get a magician. Mainly, I don't even do bar mitzvahs. And then where I only do is the rich executives in the Hasidic community or weddings.
Okay.
So that's when they're going to spend money. So for the weddings, because it's all adults, they know. But a lot of people will see what I do and they'll all the time, right? They're like, oh, yo, I'm gonna get you for my birthday, bro. And in my mind, I'm like, unless you really you know what I mean?
Unless you're
invest
ready.
in yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so when he said like, yo, I'm gonna have a house party, I was like, okay. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, and it's not even a money thing. So a lot of people think like, oh, you talking to the wrong people. Man, the richest people are sometimes not the cheap. They're not cheap actually, but sometimes they don't see the value, let's say, in something there because maybe they're too detached from it, and to them it's just another magician. Right. You were close enough. I feel that you saw that there could be something special that you. I think you did see something special. You could bring your people.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, I think that's what drove it. It was like, yo, I'm going all out for my people. This guy's gonna come correct. He's gonna make help make the night. Because you had other things, not just me, which is also intense. Like you didn't just book me; you had other shit going on.
The DJ and had the servers.
I almost want. I don't know.
Hey, let's give it context. In a 2,500 square foot house, it's not like a 10,000 square foot house. I packed that shit up.
I remember that's the first thing that must have came out of my mouth. If you look at the video, it's something like, "You guys better thank this guy for having me." I was like, "Cause this motherfucker just blew a bag on just bringing you guys some entertainment, like, and not just some entertainment, but finding you guys something that I feel like I've worked my life on it. I know it's gonna be worth it."
Yo, but the best feedback I had from that night was that it was an event. It wasn't a party. It was an event. Like people remember that shit. Like yo, thanks for inviting me. Yo, bro, thank. Like. Yo, what about next year? I'm like, it's March. Yo, what about next year? You doing it next year? I want to make sure I book. I'm like, yo, it's my house party. But yeah, I think
that wasn't just a house party.
Yeah, it was.
The bar high.
Like my man said, he was like, yo, it's a fucking event. Oh, he's like, yeah, servers. You had a drink of the night. I was like, well, if we're gonna do it,
would have paid to be there.
Yeah, I was like, if we're gonna do it, we got to go do it, right? We got to go do it.
Yeah, let you invite you guys next year.
I did. I invited all of them, and all of them feel like shit.
Even I spent it there.
It was dope, man. No, but yeah, I think it does set the precedent of the relationship, and I think that if you try to minimize somebody, and you had a really good, you said something that's really, really good. Like sometimes we're too detached, right? You can't be too detached from certain decisions because that decision is going to influence the way that night plays, right? That whole night plays. Like the DJ, that guy, he does Gucci, Louis Vuitton. Like he's through that world, right? That's how I got him. There are DJs asking me for more. He's like, no. I was like, you'll eat, you'll do this, you'll do that. It shouldn't be that high intense. And he gave me, I was like, you're in. And then, the restaurant we're going to do the event at, they're the ones who catered the event. He's a client. He's like, yo, I got you. Don't worry about it. I got you. So it was a relationship thing, and I was like, I didn't ask prices. Like, whatever it is gonna be, I want it to be, and it was an old '90s theme, so a Versace shirt. I had to go, Biggie Smalls. Like, I had to do it. So it was just for the experience. I'm not gonna try to nickel and dime anybody because it's New Year's Eve and it's your time. So that I think if everybody approached everybody that way, this world would be a different place.
Yeah,
this world would be totally different place.
You're doing mentalism and you don't even know it.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm just trying to put out the energy, babe.
I wrote something down. Actually, Chat GPT helped me. Okay, so yeah, you're giving off signals to somebody like me, right? Who's picking up signals immediately as a mentor. So I'm hyper
right,
tuned.
hyper acute.
But
right.
What this is explaining is that, and all humans, we're all picking up, right? So signals. You don't have to tell me you're sad. I'm already picking up things that might tell me you're sad. And you don't, I forget who said this, but like on TV has really messed us up because if you look at sitcoms, we've sort of tricked ourselves into thinking that that's how people react. So that mad looks like this. Oh, oh man, this is mad. You know what I mean? And happy is this is happy. And so we have these really, but none of that is necessarily, everything's on a spectrum. And we know that people can seem very happy and be fully depressed. And we know that people can feel, all sorts of ways that don't add up. Anyway, so if that can be working this way, meaning I'm picking up
energy, right.
Then in the same way, I'm also sending certain things to you that I'm not, quote unquote, intentionally trying to send you. So I guess I feel that I see this in like, so when you are doing something like paying somebody their full value, right? Whether and this is where I go earlier about intention. Your intention is not to do anything other than that. You're just trying to. This is who you are. Maybe you do have like a reason. Like, I don't want to cut them off. Maybe that's your reason.
We could deep dive a little more, and maybe I see myself 10 years ago. Maybe I see another Latino brother trying to come up, and I want to help. It's not like, and I'm not. Nobody wants fucking handout. I don't care what you say. If you didn't earn it, you're not gonna really appreciate it, right? So maybe I'm like, yo, I'm gonna teach
something I was taught.
Okay.
And so this is right. So X is the effect. This is the story. And in the middle is something along the lines of reality or how we experience reality. So X story, and in the middle is somewhere how we reality. So in the example that I was taught was like, as a kid, you might have gotten hit. X is what happened. Your story is that, your parents didn't love you.
They're abusive.
Whatever. They're abusive. And then your reality is somewhere in between of what that creates.
Right.
And so the first sort of big aha for me was the distinguishing factor that there is something that happens and then there's a story. Right. And so just the mere distinguishing and genuinely understanding that that's all of life. There are things that are happening. And my mentor went as deep as saying, when we say story, I don't mean literally the story you're telling yourself. That's sort of like a cartoonish version of what we're saying. No, what we mean by story, we mean your perception.
Okay.
Right? So now it's deeper. So,
right.
And then he'll go even deeper and he'll say, it's worse than your story, because that's why I said reality here, because really what this actually should say of how people see it is reality.
Okay.
And then he goes deeper into how we've collapsed story and what happened into reality. We all think it's the same thing. We think things are happening, that's reality.
Right.
Where you don't realize, yes, something happened, but immediately you have no choice but to give it a story.
Right. To kind of make sense of it.
Yes,
right.
you don't have a choice.
Right.
It's actually the way you're already hardwired. You're already hardwired to make sense of whatever it is that's happening. And if you could just stop there, that's why meditating is so important, is because meditating ultimately will give you this your brain has now taught itself to hear words, but it doesn't have to react to it.
Right.
Where for the common man, we're always reacting because it's
sensory
your
overload.
thought. If your thought says, I don't feel comfortable here, it must mean something. I have to react to it. Anyway, so now watch this. So if this is the theory, now I'm going to use this theory to explain how I feel one can influence the other way. Okay. So X is what you just said. X is, what if I see myself, the younger me? That's one X. Another X could be, what if I just want to look out for him? But what I'm saying is, there's something intangible that's going from what you try to do into what my mind receives.
Okay.
Right? Which I didn't realize. I didn't receive any of that stuff. Right. What I received was something completely different. But let's go even deeper. I'm not even talking about the story or how I perceive what you did. I'm going to go even deeper and say that there's an underlying effect or ripple that your action had on me, such that I can't explain it. You are trying to explain this X, but that it has the same effect. And when I'm reading something from you that you're not trying to give me, in the same way, you are affecting me positively beyond what you thought your scope was. So in the same way that you communicate and you saying, well, look, I'm communicating. No, but you did more than just communicate. You did more than just look out for the young you. I say that what you did was you did something that, and some people call it karma, right? You're putting an energy that's not actually directed even to me. You just put it out into the world.
Purpose. It's my purpose, right? Absolutely.
And that intangible, I know it sounds, I'm trying to hold myself to the floor here, but obviously we are talking about theory here. But I think that invisible realm that I'm speaking of, right? Because it's like on the surface, it's not a big deal. It's just you looking up for a younger guy.
Yeah.
And maybe I write a book on this and I say, tips to be successful, give the guy, and we think that it's that.
It's literal, right?
But it's not that. It's the actual, what you're actually, what's in, where that's coming from is really what I think is what's having that invisible effect, where we are only seeing the visible, but the invisible effect that you're looking for comes from what's actually happening inside, from the internal, and
and we don't know where that. Everybody has different drivers.
Yes.
Right. So yeah. Listen, you have to be an energy reader at all times, right? You have reading rooms. You're trying to read passcodes. You're in tune to that shit on a whole other level. Me, I just believe that the more I do, the wave, the ripple effect just gets bigger. And sometimes, you question yourself, should I? Fuck it, let's go.
And I say it goes even bigger than you think. And that's what I think is amazing. It's like, that's the magic I'm talking about. So I know you see a space where you're like, yo, I must go. But I say, like, it's like magic. It's like, there's something more than even you. So my dad and I were talking about this morning. So this is the way he explained it.
Okay.
So he said, because I explained it to him, and I was like, can you explain it back to me? So
it can make sense.
Yeah, so it can make sense. And he goes, okay, this is what I think you're saying. He said, you meet people, right? And everybody has what they know. I know this. I read these 50 books and I know this about life. But what we can all agree on in this room is that there's definitely more that you don't know.
Absolutely.
And this goes true for any human you're going to meet. There's more things that person doesn't know than they'll ever know, right? So they can read another 1,000 books. They will still be outnumbered by the things that they don't know.
Right.
So it'll always dwarf this idea of what they know. And he said, what you do with mentalism is you remind them of that. You remind them that there's more to what they know. See, you said this earlier of like, for the most part, what we know, or that's your whole life. That's where the cap is. And in this as well, it's like, I think, I don't know. I get into the meta, and then I lose myself a little bit.
No. I mean,
yeah.
you're talking about influence. You're talking about, we first started with the whole interaction of how we got to the same place, right? Which was the party. And I'm just giving you my thought process because I wasn't talking to you. I was talking to somebody else. I don't know who I was talking to, right? I was like, all right, cool, just do it. And
it had an effect that I think goes even farther than what you think, and I find that.
Well, then that's what you have to expand on. What's the effect?
So, see, and then I only have privy to so from my perspective, I can only see a little bit of that effect that you had.
Okay.
But and this is where it's a little bit maybe faith or belief, or I say, because I only know so much. So I say that the other bit of that I don't know, in there somewhere is the explanation that it's more than just a direct good deed, that the deed is doing something else that's outside of the scope that me and you can explain as you're just looking out for a friend. I just needed you're respecting my. So that's this language on the board. Right. But somehow under, I think something else is happening, and that under is, I think, the kind of things that when people talk about, oh, this happened, I couldn't explain it. I think that's where that lives. So I don't know. Another example that's coming to my mind. I remember Tom Werner, the Santa Claus. He taught me about mushrooms. I guess it was in Brazil, actually. He was like, these mushrooms in Brazil that they had found. It was like on the Discovery Channel. They did a whole thing. And have you heard about this? And it was like one mushroom they tested over here. And then they went like 3,000 miles over here and they tested this mushroom. And what they were expecting was that they were looking for just different species. And but when they looked at the actual construct, they realized it's 1,000 miles away, but it's the exact same
mushroom.
It's the exact same mushroom. Wow. It's showing up as the exact same mushroom. They go, no, how can it be there and there at the same time? And what they found was that there's certain tunnels under that were invisible. Right. This is science. Okay. Right. And they're communicating with each other. And there's no vein. There's no physical. Huh?
Mycelium map.
Yeah.
Mycelium map.
Underneath the ground, you have all the trees, but the fungi before the actual mushroom grows is a mycelium. Right. So that all connects with each other, and that's able to spread. Technically, the biggest organism on Earth.
To the world.
To the world.
In Oregon.
To me, what it showed me was a visual or a way for us to understand scientifically that there are realms of communication that go far beyond a physical action or a physical word. That realm has the power to influence, create realities, create impact, create the success in your life, the opportunities. So, but it all lives down here. Right. And the question, obviously, how do we get down here?
Surface, right.
Yeah, and I don't know if you can get down there because I don't think that's there for us to understand and for us to get our minds around. And the reason I'm not a preacher, the reason I don't start a school is because I think that the problem with any sort of fake preachers before is that you start realizing there is more to humans, and then you convince yourself, oh, I know it more than somebody else. Right. And I think the true humbling factor should be that we are all up here and we're all just trying to figure it out. Yeah. And I might have certain experiences that make me feel like I might be onto something, but everything that I'm explaining is just my perspective. Yeah. I don't know any of this to be true.
But I said this on another, I think it was another podcast or a clip. It was like, whatever you believe will work. Yeah. Right? Like, if I believe this blindly, you could tell me, oh, sky's blue, I'm saying it's red. It's red. I don't, the shit will turn around. I believe that it will somehow be legitimized into being read.
In your life, it will.
In my life. And the same way as when I do business, like I forgot who I spoke to earlier about this. It was another kid. And he was telling me when I was first trained in real estate, in finance, I was taught that people were numbers, right? Whether I'm Latin or not, I said, that doesn't work because that's an awesome churner. And this is just me thinking like for right now, but what about in 5 years? Am I going to keep doing this? So I went another way and I developed relationships. So, I do Jose's loan and then his cousin and his blah, 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 and I spend time with him and I educate. Whereas when I was pulled to the side for this, hey man, you're spending too much time with these people. Yeah. He was like, you closed it already. Get the next one. Because back when I was trained to call phone numbers on a phone book. And to me, I was like, yeah, but how do how do I build a business? Like this is just going on a hamster wheel. Most guys go on hamster wheels, and I don't believe in that. I believe that, yo, man, look, everything I do, every decision I make, every person I interact with, and they'll tell you, they hang out with me a lot. They're younger than me. I try to school them, and not because I want anything, but because, maybe I had to learn through a lot of mistakes, and maybe if I can minimize your mistakes, you get a little farther than me, and that's cool. I want that, right? And I tell my kids this all the time, like, yo, I made so many fucking mistakes. You're gonna make mistakes. I can't shield you from everything. But maybe don't make the same fucking mistakes. Make new ones. And then you have my shit and your shit, and we keep escalating. So I think that's really where it comes from. But I believe in it. Like, you can't tell me different. Like, when he told me, yo, keep churning, I'm like, okay. I said, okay. And I just ignored it. Like, no, this is my path. Not right. Like, yeah, okay. And I just kept doing it. And now where's that guy? That guy had to sell his business, and I'm going because people never stop. People never stop calling me because, I give people respect and I invest in them. And again, it's not just like just going not to delve too much into personal stuff, but when you had questions for me, I was like, yo, man, what do you need from me? Let's talk about it. All right, so let's break it apart for you. Like, this is what I see. Right. And just to give you perspective, that's all it was, just to give you, because sometimes we're stuck in it and we can't see it. We got to push out to take a good look. And sometimes somebody else who might be, let's just say probably a master in his field, to look at your field and be like, hey, man, that's not your superpower. Like, oh, I want to fix it up. No, you don't, because that'll take time away from what you're supposed to be doing. Right. And supposed to be doing is building your business, because that money you make is so much more tremendously valuable than, saving, $3,000 on a fucking sale of a house because you got to break up their kitchen, like all that shit. People don't, they lose sight of the real goal. And because we get caught up in the minutia, right, in the details, you got to get, I think the saying is, step back so you can see the forest, because you're in it, you can't see the trees all over you. You gotta take it back, and you gotta be real with yourself. I mean, look, you built your business, you went through COVID, now you're moving. Keep accelerating because the money you can generate will help you make easier decisions. Yeah. And I shared my story with you when I bought the second house I bought. It was out of my price range, but when I looked at it, it really wasn't. And I didn't know that when I went to see it. I just went to see it. Because, I was like, fuck it, let's do it. Like, the way you're looking, keep looking, man. Something's gonna pop. And then you get there, then your standards raised, right? And then don't be ashamed of it. It's not imposter syndrome. I'm talking Latino, because that's the part where everybody gets caught up. I have a standard now. Black, white, Asian, it doesn't matter what color I am. I have a standard where I want to live, how I want to live, how I want my kids to live, how I want my wife to live, how I want to feel when I get home. And I'm unapologetically being me. Because for a long time, when I was young, growing up in poverty, you're told, no, you don't want that. No, you should only get this. You should only get that. You only deserve this. Right. Who are you to tell me what I deserve? Right. If I'm willing to bust my ass for it, never sleep, never eat, just go, there should be no limit on me. And then I think, so many people have such self-limiting beliefs, and it's not their fault because they're bred into these families. And our families, look, I have like 50 cousins. There's one cousin, my older cousin, passed away, who was really successful. But out of 50, most guys are truck drivers. And it's cool. I'm not hating on that. But I can't talk to them about certain things. I can't talk to them about buying a building in Massachusetts. They're like, oh, so está loco. What if the boiler breaks? I was like, then we buy a new one. You know what I'm saying? Like, I told them there's 50 people paying rent. What's the chance all 50 not going to pay me? Like, you're talking about buying a two. All right, buy a two-family. All right, or I'm gonna go in the basement. All right, do your thing, man. Do your thing, because you can't possibly see that scale, no, right? Because some people can't process, right? No. Small minds can't digest big ideas. So I'm like, So I kind of stopped talking. Like, if they ask me, most of my shit's put through social media. I'll get a call. Yo, I saw what you did. Yo, and now all of a sudden, I'm an authority. But if we're at the barbecue and I'm talking, yo, I'm gonna do this. Oh, that stupid. You local. Am I? All right. So watch. And you got to create that too, man. Like I told you, look, I see what you can do. I see the economics behind it. So that's what you focus on. Don't focus on, saving $50,000. Fuck that. You'll make $50,000 next month. Focus on you. Focus on your superpower. And I believe that. And I wish more people were like that with each other, whereas they raise each other up and be like, yo, believe, man. Believe. Because if you have a group of guys that all kind of believe, well, it doesn't have to be monetary, but it could be just, yo, a phone call. Yo, man, what do you think about this? Yo, I think you're good. Sometimes you need to hear that. Sometimes you need to hear, yo, you're not crazy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like I'm thinking, and then, somebody hits you with a self-limiting belief. Nah, that'll never happen. Then all of a sudden, what if you did walk that way? You could have changed your life, right? So it's scary where you have to be careful who you listen to, what they're saying, because you got to break it down. People are just fucking pushing, their self-limiting belief on you. They're just, it's what they're feeling. Like you saying,
right.
Like we're all connected. Yeah, we are all connected. But you got to be careful who you're speaking to about certain things, right? But going back to, like I said, man, like I do things because I believe it comes back. It's not like, I expect, I don't sit there, I'm going to get it back. Yo, man, if it happens,
That's what I'm saying. I don't think you even have the perception of it. I think that I'm talking about something so down here that you're feeding something that doesn't even exist to us right now.
Right.
Even like the giving, like, I'm talking about greater than any business you can get back. Like, right. I don't know what I'm talking about because I don't know what I'm talking about.
Right.
But I'm pointing at something.
You're talking about karma, you're talking about energy.
I'm pointing, I like this way my mentor taught me to speak about things. Like many times, like in language, we're trying to, first of all, we assume that what we're talking about, we need to know what we're talking about.
Right.
We can speak about things without necessarily, and I'm not talking about a conspiracy because a conspiracy actually is you thinking you know somehow. Right. You know what I mean? Like that's almost like the
you
opposite
think you know
of
more than other people.
Yeah, it's like you figured it out more than us. Fair enough. Where I'm saying it's like, dude, I want to point at something that we're all seeing something.
Right.
None of us can really explain it. Listen, dude, don't take my word for it. I'm not saying I know. I'm just saying what I can see from my perspective. And hey, maybe we need all of us to really look at this shit. So, because we need the perspective on it. Right. There's that great saying, there's a great story that sort of, I think, illustrates that best with the elephant, the eight blind men.
Yeah, touching different parts of the elephant.
Different parts of the elephant.
Different, yeah.
And that's exactly right. So it's like that elephant is, I don't know what I'm talking about, but this thing down here.
There's an elephant down there.
This thing, this. I feel people. I think that conversation about God is down. I think that thing, not down there, but I mean like in that realm that we're trying to. I think that's also. I mean, maybe this is for podcast. This is just me behind closed doors. Like the question about God is as serious to me. I thought about this walking in. Is as serious to me as the question of do you think magic is real? Right? It's the exact same question as do I think God is real? I've lived most of my life as an atheist, but now I don't necessarily consider myself an atheist. But I'm not, I don't think I'm religious, but I'm definitely not whatever I was as an atheist. And I say that because I feel like I've been immersed. I think I know the atheist argument really well. So much so that, I mean, I know the Sam. I don't know if people know this, but magicians are part of the big federations of like atheist conventions that are held by Penn and Teller and like by the big top like scientists.
Really?
And they team up with magicians because magicians for the longest time were all about debunking a lot of the bullshit, a lot of the psychics, and going as far back as Houdini. Houdini, when he died, before he died, his mom passes away. He's a believer. Right, a full-blown believer. This is in the hey time of mentalism. Mentalism at the time is not mentalism. Psychics. Okay. So actually, mentalism is not. What's popular at this time is seances and psychics and mediums. That's what I meant to say. Mediums, people that are speaking to the dead and they're speaking to them through their body. And when his mom passed away, he loved his mom so much, man. He said, man, I'm going to just try it, man, just to see.
Right.
And he would go to people. And then one person, he believed her, man. He was really thinking that she was talking to his mom. And at one point, she said something about, like, she just wants to tell you Jesus loves you, be with him. And he looked down and he said, she was a Jewish lady her whole life.
Wow.
There's no way she said that.
Right.
And he had seen the bullshit. He had seen, the games, and
he got clarity.
He had seen that the intention was to, get over on you, to get your money, and he invested his career on Broadway. This is when he had gotten his Broadway show, Houdini, on Broadway, half of his show was dedicated just to debunk psychics, right? He had so much anger in him for years. That's all he did. Like at the end, he would just replicate the seances and then expose them and be like, look, these old motherfuckers are fake. And so magicians have kind of taken that tradition and to be like, anybody that claims to have any sort of supernatural, you know, we're exposing them. You know what I mean? Right. And James Randi had $1 million for anybody that he was a magician. For anybody that can prove to us that you have supernatural powers, you know,
there's a bag waiting for you.
We have a bag waiting for you. And I'm part of that mentality. So I come from a questioning things and like, you know, but I think that where I've transitioned to and like understanding like, wow, there's more to what we're talking about here. So now let me bring this back around to what I said. How is this God and magic compared? When I hear people tell me, yo, do you believe in God? I don't even think about yes or no. I think you and I probably are not in agreement to what this word means yet. So first, let me figure out what you mean when you say the word God, right? Because there's this assumption we both are saying the exact same thing.
Right.
And I say God is a lot more like that thing that I'm pointing at, that I don't know exactly what it is. So let me first hear what you and how sure you think you are of this thing. And I'm also not an atheist in the sense that I don't know that it's not what it is. So I don't know. Right. But I don't know is a much more humble approach, I say, right? And I don't know doesn't mean that I don't have to act or I don't have to make decisions, you know, but you know, and so that's where I do think the faith element comes in. And so I don't know, I could keep going on all days about this, but God, magic, I feel magic is the same thing. I think magic can be explained away. You can see all the tricks. You could say, oh, but it's just tricks. And it's like, sure. If that's what you think it is, if that's all you think this is,
if you believe
and that's all you see, then
you
fair
can't
enough.
See past. Right.
But I promise you there's something down there. And if, you know, and you know, the people that don't allow themselves never get to experience that. And I think you're living in magic, in the real kind of magic in your world, in your life, which is, I think, giving you the blessings that people around you are probably looking at and saying like, how is that possible? And I find that a lot of like what's wrong with like some of the personal development now and maybe always was that we've tried to re-engineer success to be this list of things,
right.
You know, be nice to people, pay full price. See, and that's what I meant. It's not a list of things.
Yeah.
It's literally this vibe, this wave, this what am I trying to say? This
core belief.
Wave that you're hitting. I'm talking about like a radio signal, like this.
Okay.
You hit a
like
certain
vibration.
wave. It's a vibration is what I'm looking for.
Yeah, absolutely.
You need to vibrate at a certain level.
Absolutely.
None of this matters.
I believe that.
All of these are just things. So if you deduce it to just the list, it's the same as deducing it to tricks. You don't get it.
Yeah.
Yes. So people say, okay, but mentalism, you need to manipulate. Of course I need to manipulate how you're thinking, so I need to get you somewhere. So I need to learn certain techniques to get you there. But if you think that's what it is, you don't get it.
Right.
I'm using that to get you somewhere.
Right.
The where I get
the
you
magic
is
where I get you. Yeah. Right. I get it. No, listen, I agree. The vibration, I talk about that all the time. I don't know if you watch my stuff.
I do,
but
yeah.
I believe in it. And like I was telling people like, all right, so I'm going to go off on a fucking tangent on this one. People that, I got to go to see Les Brown or I got to go see Tony Robbins. I have nothing against those guys. I think they're great for what they are. What they are is somebody who's actually vocalizing a belief system. But if you have to go there every 3 months, my man, the problem is not them. The problem is you. Because going back to what I said before, what you believe is what will work. If you believe in it with true faith, belief in things yet not seen, it's gonna work. Because you'll take the actions, you'll do the necessary whatever sacrifice, you'll do whatever it fucking takes to make it work. And somehow it just works, right? And going back to vibration, like, yo, I know Gandhi said it and it sounds corny, but be the change you want to see in the world. I was like, yo, man, I was talking to Danny outside. I know guys worth billions of dollars that are fucking scumbags, that are like ruthless. And I was like, I'll get there, but I'm not gonna get there like that. That's just not me. It wouldn't feel right. It wouldn't be right. It just goes against my culture of belief, right? My pillars of belief, it just goes against it. And these guys know who the fuck I'm talking about. I have different guys that they because they're with me all the time. They meet different guys. They're like, wow, it's crazy. I'm like, that's one way, right? That's all I say. I don't get too much into it. I learn what I can learn from people and keep it pushing. But if it doesn't resonate with you, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's all I have to say about it. If you don't believe, it will not work. It's like saying, yo, I want to do this 6-week workout to lose 20 pounds. Okay, you could do that. Do you realize that you're just modifying your behavior for 6 weeks, right? You're modifying what you're eating, what you're doing, your daily routines. So like if you did that all the time, or in another way, you wouldn't have to go on a challenge. You could just live your life. It'd be a healthy lifestyle. Like, it's that simple. But people, they're not. I really feel that most of, there's a 99%, there's a 1%. I feel that most people need to be constantly reminded. It's almost because I think it just doesn't permeate through their fucking nucleus where like, yo, this is the way. It might be the shiny thing right now. It's the way. It's the way. Okay, 8 weeks later, they forgot about it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
It's crazy.
but that's our life. That's our world. That's all. I believe that. And then me talking to you and you talking my vibrations, like, you get it then. You see past the physical. Not to get into like the matrix, but you know what I'm saying? Like, yo man, I want to change that. Well, you have to change yourself.
Yeah.
Really? Yeah. It all starts here. Like, your perspective changes everything. The way you look at shit, everything changes. And then you become somebody different.
Yeah.
And then you can attract people like you that will help you ascend.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. You get it.
My brother.
That's the way we end this one. That's the way we end this one.